Hello, Let's Do Video viewers, and welcome back. First time in the studio, good friend Alpa. Alpa, can you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Hi, thank you for inviting me, David. I'm Alpa Shah, Frost and Sullivan. I manage the CX team, and I also do a lot of the customer end work, like the customer research and talking to our client council, who's made up of all the contact center end user companies in healthcare, finance, and that kind of thing, and also um, help at our own events. So happy to be here.
Yes, and you're my conference buddy.
These days, yeah,
Yes,
a lot of fun.
we were just at
Lots of fun.
WebexOne, and before that, Zoomtopia. And I'll be honest, what triggered this idea in my mind, we were out in the balcony at WebexOne, overlooking the ocean, having drinks. It was beautiful. And Rupam was with us, and she got that, when she gets that serious look on her face, she means what she's about to say. And she said, Appa, you have such good insights and opinions. You should be blogging more and getting that stuff out there. And I said, ooh, she does have good insights and opinions. I'm going to have her on my show. So this is kind of Rupam inspired, I would say,
Aw,
having you here. But so let's
thank
get
you.
into it. It
Thanks
was
for
a
coming
great
here.
event.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big event. Zoomtopia was a little smaller this year. Webex One was not smaller. They went all
It was
out.
bigger.
It was bigger. And to the point of discussing how much bigger they even would want to make it next year, I think they decided that this was the right size.
Yeah, she was saying that just no more than, I don't know, 500 people more. Because
And
they
she
like
being
me.
Aruna,
Aruna, I'm sorry.
the
Aruna right
ringleader of the
there. I'm
circus.
looking at her as if, yeah, everyone knows her. Yes, Aruna said that no more than 500. And I like that because our own events, we keep them small because we were able to find each other. And I talked to people on the elevator, and I'll share some of that with you. Just talking to people everywhere you go, it was easier, you know?
Yeah. Yep, it was great. And I want to say, in terms of the event itself, before we get into the specific announcements, they always have, let me scroll up to the celebrities. And
Yeah.
I really appreciated the celebrities this year because, yes, they were famous and cool and successful people, but they were all brilliant and they were thoughtful and insightful. And, sometimes you look around and everyone's checking their phones, but everyone was watching them like, that they really picked good speakers. And the
I,
customer,
I'm gonna I'm gonna add that to that is they're relevant,
yes. Oh, good point. See,
you know.
yeah, they wasn't
I
just
took notes. I took a lot of notes.
did you? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it was on point. It wasn't just, oh, here's a cool famous person that we all like.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was also really impressed by the customers. They always bring in customer reps, but I wasn't just, I learned a lot. It wasn't just, oh yeah, this is how we're using Cisco. Like Akamai, I didn't realize they kind of run the entire internet. I didn't realize how big and powerful that company is.
Me
And the
neither.
cow, it was impressive, right? She was amazing.
He was so impressive. Really knew like you said, there's so many different elements of that business.
Yeah.
Same with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
I did not know how many different services and products and solutions they had.
It was amazing. I had an idea because when I lived in New Orleans, I worked for a while across from the Superdome, and I
Hmm.
realized it was always doing something, even though there's only 9 games a year. And he
Hmm.
said that, he said we only play football 9 days a year, but it's a convention center that sometimes we play football. And it's aside from the convention center, they have like a whole shopping area. It's like a mini city, and it's all him, and it all needs IT and AV, and it's all Cisco. I mean, top to
Isn't
bottom.
that amazing? And also the medical, so they have medical imaging, the things that are out of, like, oh, we can do this because we do this anyway, so why not do it for others? It just really it is very fascinating, I thought.
The event itself, the last thing about the event before we get into the specifics, it was a nice fancy event. Were you there the first night? They had people, they were actual, I thought these were like robot hands, so those were actual people. So when you reach and take a champagne glass, it's like a human hand handing it to you. It was a little weird. It felt like something out of a Stanley Kubrick movie or something. But it just to give you an idea, this was a fancy event where they put a lot of thought into things. It was a great few days. So let's start out with your area of expertise, contact center. They had a
Mhm.
lot of contact center announcements, but first I have a question for you that you definitely know more than me about this. Just top level, their growth in contact center is amazing. It is their biggest,
Mhm.
fastest growing cloud segment of all their cloud offerings. And at
Yeah.
Zoomtopia, we learned that Zoom Cloud, a contact center, is doing amazing, and Five9 Contact Center is doing. And Nice is flying people out to Zambia. They're making so much money
Yeah.
from contact center. How is everyone winning a contact center at the same time?
Yeah. And Genesis.
Genesis.
That's a great question. And so the answer is obviously the pie is getting bigger, right? There's more opportunity out there. Um, I was surprised. I'll be honest. I was surprised not that WebEx had growth in CX or CCAS seats, but the growth, a lot of it, a significant portion, and I don't know if I can share how much, so I won't, but I know it's double digit, and it was a lot of new logos. And so I thought initially, it'll be fairly easier for them to transfer, you just get UCAS customers to hop into CCAS and use that. But they actually got a lot of new logos within 2 years. So
Yeah,
that is impressive.
I think they're doing the opposite. They're getting new customers with the contact center and then saying, "Hey, have you seen the new WebEx? It's actually pretty good." As opposed to the other way, which is
Yeah.
having people who use Jabber and everything else and saying, "Hey, check out our contact center." Yeah, they're because they have a big enough footprint that usually when they have something new, they sell it to their base. They're good to go. But they're
Yeah.
growing their base with this. It's incredible.
It is incredible. And that shows a lot how much their partners trust them,
Yeah,
because
and
they're also selling other pretty embedded, CCAS companies
yeah,
solutions, right?
when someone
So
starts using a customer or an integrator starts using Cisco, they really just get comfortable with using Cisco. I was talking to we had a lunch where we talked to the customers, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say what this customer does, but it was a large company that makes a thing that we all use in our lives, a very common item. And I mean, I'm surprised they're not drinking Cisco coffee at this place. He's using it's not. It starts with network, and then they just get into everything they're using, and he's happy. He's perfectly
yeah,
happy,
yeah,
more than happy. So yeah. So the fact that this is actually a growing their footprint, an item for them shows why they're so excited about it.
hmm
Um, and of course, they were all talking about AI, but something kind of clarified in my mind, and I should have realized at the Zoomtopia because they gave us the same message, but it took a while for me to click. There's two big ways that we're seeing AI in contact center, and they're both super amazing and real. It's not this AI hype stuff. This is so, and I was jumbling it all up, but let me try to differentiate them. So one is what I think of as the AI assistant, and that's what we've been hearing a lot about last year. And
yeah,
those demos we loved, and that's when you're talking to a human contact agent. But the human contact agent has an AI assistant that so instead of saying, "Hold on, let me find out about that," and takes them 10 minutes, it's like an experienced supervisor looking over their shoulder saying, "Customer's not happy, give them a free T-shirt. Customer's not
yeah.
happy, do this for them." And it's good. It's better than we thought it would be. And in my
Mhm.
mind, that's all I was thinking about. But there's this other thing which is over your head, which is the AI agent. And in my mind, I had written that off because we're all used to those chat agents, those phone agents that follow a script. Press one for this, press two for that. They're not AI. They're dumb, and I hate them. I try to be a lover, not a hater. But oh, I get so mad. I just human, human, human. Give me a human being. I've given up on them years
Like
ago.
0, 0, 0, 0.
0, 0, 0, right? And I want this. I want the human being with the super smart helper AI.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
both Zoom and WebEx showed us demos of an AI agent that's smart enough that I don't hate it anymore. It actually was really a good agent. It was a helpful experience, and I was not expecting that.
So the number one, we run this survey every year, and the number one reason why businesses say their customers don't like the virtual agent is because they don't understand them and they're not knowledgeable, right? And that's where so what I tell customers is they've got to have their self-service better, if not, it's good, if not better than a live agent for it to ever be effective. And I think that's where we're heading. And I would say a lot of companies are heading in this direction, but I was really impressed with it really felt like that demo, it felt like it was a human being
The
almost.
audio demo. I
Yeah.
have a clip of that. I'm going to play it, and by myself,
Okay.
you might not hear
I
it, but
thought that was because you felt like it can't be too human-like because there was that uncanny valley kind of situation going on. So you want to be, people ask, should they say that it's not a human being? And I think they should always be honest and say that,
Yes.
and then allow for a human being to be there when they're needed, right? But when it's almost human and it's really interactive and easy and they're knowledgeable, it's impressive. Go ahead. I want to hear
Yeah,
about
I'm going to play the clip, but just to set this up for our viewers, usually when I think of AI agents, I think of that little chat button, and I think of a chat agent. The audio, I'm not even considering that. I think that's future stuff because when I think of audio agents, they don't sound real. I think of Siri and Alexa. You know, alarm is set for 3:37. Yeah, and we have some of those agents. Would you like to know which flights are available now for Thursday? I mean, that's not human. I'm getting annoyed at myself for even. Yeah, I want a human, but they had when they said they're going to show us a human-like AI agent experience. I'm like, okay, bring up the chat, bring up the chat. But it was voice, and I'm not going to play the whole video, but let me bring it up here. So you're about to see. Okay, he is talking. That's a real person. I got to say who's real and who's not these days. And he's talking to this new AI agent.
Welcome to Cisco HR. I'm Kate, your AI agent. I can help you with questions around Cisco benefits. How can I assist you today?
Hi, Kate. Can you tell me how much I could contribute to my 401k plan?
Sure. You can contribute up to IRS limits, and Cisco matches your contributions dollar for dollar up to 4.5% of eligible pay. If you need more details or have
No,
any
hold
other
on.
questions,
Sorry. I meant to ask about ESPP.
no problem. For the employee stock purchase plan, ESP.
I'm going to stop it there. And I don't think you were able to hear it because of the way my audio set up, but the viewers are able to hear it.
Okay.
And what's amazing about it, first of all, the voice sounds a little bit more human-like. It didn't sound so Siri robotic. But what got everyone in the audience to go, ooh, and what had everyone chatting over coffee in between the sessions was the interruption. Because usually you interrupt AI, it just keeps going. It's going.
And it's
It's
confused.
yes.
And there's a reason for that. I think there's something about just that they're not set up in their pathways, right? And they go in a certain way and then they're stuck because you ask them a different question, like, I don't know how to get back. And that's very impressive.
Yeah, it starts tripping over itself. Does it finish answering the first or so? And it handled it like nothing. And there were a couple different demos of the same thing, not the same script, but someone else had a different problem with a different AI, and it was able to take the interruptions. And we clarified because we've seen so many demos. We were very, very suspicious. Was that an actress? Yes, it was AI. It was using a limited data set, so it wasn't like connected to the internet, the full AI thing. But it was the actual. It was a real demo. Okay, they weren't faking it.
Love it.
On to the next thing. Let me see. Oh, hold on. I want to bring up, I think the next thing I want to talk about, I think that's it for Contact Center. Any final thoughts on Contact Center?
Do I have any final thoughts? I think that, okay, one more thing is, I don't think it's just contact center related, so maybe it's a good segue that Webex is spending a lot of time understanding the user and user behavior and use cases. And I think that goes a long way in really gaining that customer trust and solving a real problem versus just selling AI. Because a lot of companies say they're AI first, but customers don't really want AI. They want a tool that will help them solve their problems today. And not everyone has different problems. So I thought that was really important.
That's a good point. And there's a slide, and I almost included it, but I didn't include it. It was interesting enough. I took a picture, but I didn't include it here. And it was just such a minor little change to their UI that they made. But it showed that they were thinking about how the users use it. It was, it's one of those, I think it's in their chat. You know how you could have AI help you make your chat more friendly for being rude. And they had it as a pop-up. So it would pop up and say, do you want to rewrite this? And it was getting 2% use or whatever. I don't remember the exact numbers, 12%, whatever the numbers was. And they changed it, so instead of being a pop-up, it was a little thing along the side of it as you're typing. Same exact tool, same exact use case, just slightly different way of presenting it, and it got 90% use. Or so. You remember?
Yeah, I totally remember. And like, I think there was one feature that before they did the analysis, it was 2.5 times a week that they used it, and then they improved it to 12 times a week.
Yeah.
And so these are big differences, just understanding how to get people to adopt because that is definitely one of the biggest challenges we see in our survey, that people just, whether it's employees or customers, they're not adopting.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see it coming out of Cisco, because when I think of Cisco, I think of the mighty Cisco. We make amazing stuff, and if you're not using it, you're not using it right. We're geniuses. We're Cisco. We have the best developers on the planet. You know, get your people trained better. Not that they actually have that attitude, but it's just you know, I have this impression that they make things the right way, and we're supposed to use it the right way. But they're looking at, like, you know, like we're saying, they're looking at the user, and they're willing to change everything to get a couple more clicks, get a little more use on their tools.
Yeah.
So going on to the next one, this is their new Ceiling Microphone Pro. And it's funny, everyone keeps calling it a speaker because it looks like a speaker, but that's what microphones look like these days. And in some ways it's like, whoa, well, you know, why am I so excited about a new speaker? It was more than a speaker. This speaker was sort of like the mascot of the show, because it kept coming into other conversations about how they're doing things on a bigger level. So the speaker itself is, get some different views of it. Could be hung from the ceiling, mounted on the ceiling. It's got a million different, not a million, but they took it apart to show the inside. It's got a lot of little mini microphones inside. You know, you could look and see the specs yourself. The details.
I love it.
Yeah, everyone loves it.
Elegant.
It looks really nice, and everyone was talking about the design. This picture doesn't do it justice, but the design is what I want to talk about, because it's not just the design of this device. They gave us an entire presentation about, I forgot what they called it, their design guide, their design philosophy. It's like they made a design Bible for the whole company that all products have to follow.
Yeah.
And at first I'm like, you know, it's 8 in the morning, I'm drinking my coffee. I'm not that impressed by the idea that all your products are going to kind of look alike. By the end of the presentation, I'm like, this is brilliant. You know, and it was, and they really went overboard, like the things of the exact type of curve. They looked at nature to see the curves in nature to match the curves. But there were some things that just made smart, that were just smart, like the sustainability. The way they do these covers, they used to take a big thing of fabric and bonk, cut out circles, and then have all this extra fabric to throw away. They're not doing them now. Now they're knitting them. And I picture a bunch of grandmas sitting there knitting. I'm sure it's machines, but they're knitting them to fit, so there's no wasted material.
Isn't that amazing? It was also, I think that there's just material on the top of it that doesn't have to be it looks perfect to the customer, but it doesn't necessarily it doesn't have to be perfect. And so they are also able to save a lot of material that way.
Yeah, it was took me a while to understand that, but you know, it comes in 2 pieces, so they snapped it apart. And they said when you snap the 2 pieces, they wanted that seam to be absolutely perfect, because they want everything to look perfect. And if you make that seam absolutely perfect, first of all, it's a lot more harder to make it. And second of all, if one's a little off, it doesn't fit, and then it's broken, then you got to send it back. I said, what if you make it not perfect? Have a gap there. Gap looks ugly. What if the gap's covered by the nice and knitted thing?
Exactly.
So now it's not perfect, and that makes it more perfect.
Knows. Exactly.
It's and there were so many little things, like they're just sitting around thinking about this stuff. It was really impressive.
What a fun job that is, right?
Yeah. And it's all part of one thing. They have another graphic, which I should have shown. Everything is part of the network. So the devices connected to the network, connected to the sensors. You know, their speaker bars have atmosphere conditioning sensors, so they know how much carbon dioxide is in the air. They know the temperature. It's really, they really are selling a Cisco environment.
Yeah.
With AI throughout everything.
I think also the idea, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was also just really just the technology behind getting the voices really well.
Yeah. I should give more time to, maybe we'll do another video on it, but the actual technology behind it, the coverage that it gives in the room is worthy of talking about. It's not just a pretty looking microphone. It's next level AI throughout. And Cisco audio is notable for everyone's audio has gotten really good. I was, our friend Dave Michaels, him and I were doing some very informal, off the record, not don't quote us on the results testing of the noise removal in Zoom and Teams and WebEx. And they are all so good. You're not going to hear that dog barking in the background. But WebEx has a few little extra features in it. WebEx's audio AI really is next level, and it's all throughout this microphone. The concept of distance zero. Before I founded Let's Do Video, I was at a firm called Telepresence Options, and telepresence was the concept of feeling like you're in the same room with someone.
Yeah.
Telepresence devices, they cost $250,000, but they would rebuild a whole room with big screens, so you're right in. And then Cisco loved the concept of telepresence so much they renamed all their products Telepresence, and my blog started getting a lot of clicks. And telepresence, the concept kind of died. They're bringing it back. Distance zero is telepresence 2.0. They kept talking about feeling like you're in the same room with someone. I'm like, I remember this. And maybe it never went away, but the way we approached telepresence in the past, expensive, hard to deal with equipment, that wasn't the right way to do it. But the concept of just working with everyone, regardless of where they are, as if they're in the same room with you, they're still dreaming the dream. So that made me happy to see, even if it's just, I mean,
like
this is
that.
nothing more than a logo. I mean, it's just but it made me happy to see that.
That's a good way to say it, is then continue dreaming the dream. I like that.
Yeah. Another announcement they had was their partnership with Apple, so that the Apple Vision Pro, you can sit in on WebEx meetings on it. And this was kind of controversial. I'm going to play a video. I'm playing it. I'm playing this without the sound, and we'll talk over it because I think it's a longer video, but just so people can see kind of what it's about. And they had a demo at the they had a whole exhibit hall. This is a huge event, and they had a demo booth at the exhibit hall. I got to wear the glasses, and there's a lot of negative things I heard that turned out to be not concerns. It wasn't too heavy. It wasn't uncomfortable. It didn't make me seasick. It did look super cool. So I get the concept, and you could see, the screen's floating in front of you. As much as everyone loves it, there was still this sort of whispering about how many people are going to actually use this. I'm starting to feel like telepresence again. Everyone loved those $250,000 telepresence systems, but how many people actually use them?
So I did that demo, and while it's impressive, it's like, why did video conferencing not take off for how many years, right? Because it was not easy to use. And what was the value, right, with that? And so do I really need somebody to pop up? I think it's really great for use cases. Like maybe they showed a sneaker, and how you can actually see it, and maybe not so much for a sneaker, but maybe if it's like a device and you want to really get into the nitty gritty and really see the size and things like that, and you get that 3-dimensional perspective, that's valuable. But I think use case wise, it'll be good, but I just don't know how valuable. And it is, I didn't think it was light. I thought it was pretty heavy.
See, one use case they did give, going back to, and I said how this was the mascot of the show. They made a point. They swore that when they were designing this thing, I was trying to get a good picture. There's a picture of it somewhere of it popped open. Oh, here we go. They said that they used the Apple glasses and held it around so they can actually design it, and they said it saved them flying back and forth from Norway and everywhere else. So again, the Ceiling Mic Pro becomes the example of supposedly the use case.
Yeah.
But again, it's
manufacturing is a really good use case.
Yeah, but it's hard to say that. It's hard to say that there'll be a lot of people using them. They just, I mean, it's the device itself is a limitation.
And it's expensive, right?
Yeah. If the team wants to send me an Apple device for me to test it myself, I'm sure I'll have a great experience with it. I do think the experience is there, which is something I wouldn't have said a few years ago. I would have said it's expensive, complicated, and the experience isn't there. I think the experience is there now, but it's still much. It's still a lot.
It's a lot. I definitely I agree. Again, use cases. Maybe like in medicine, or could be good ones.
In medicine, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely, I'm not saying no one, but it's a niche thing.
But not for business, right? Not for like you and me to talk. That'll be too.
No, not for meeting room video.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Let me hold on to get the. Everyone's sitting around this boardroom. I'm usually very proud of this boardroom. It's so fancy, but we were at a nice place last week. This would fit in perfectly at the Diplomat. I also want to talk about Microsoft Teams, and I just realized this. I think the slide I had for this was NDA, so I'm not going to show it. But we all know it was a big announcement last year that Cisco devices, the video bars and boards, I think can now run Microsoft Teams. And at the time, we're like, is that a good idea? You guys are competitors. I mean, it's great for the customers, and it turns out it was a great idea because while we can't share the numbers, they're selling a lot of devices to the point where a big percentage of Microsoft Teams rooms are running on Cisco devices, which I never would have guessed.
It's really amazing that there's so much collaboration amongst all these vendors, whether it be Zoom, Webex, Microsoft, and Avaya even, right? And so there's a lot of, it's awesome. Good for the customer, like you said.
Yeah, all of those integrations and partnerships are good, but this one in particular was a little worrisome to me because I thought, Cisco's going to say, oh yeah, we don't mind if people are using Teams instead of WebEx. I'm like, no, you want everyone to use WebEx. You're Cisco, and the execs last year at the last year's WebexOne, they were like, David, trust us. And I'm like, okay, and yeah, they were right. This is definitely working out for them because, like we were talking about before, once they get in there. Like, hey, Cisco could do a lot of other stuff for you. Have you looked at our contact center? Have you looked at our network? So great strategy. And, of the devices, and we don't even have to talk about them. Everyone knows their reputation. One thing I thought was really cool I want to share. Let me bring this up. They demoed this. This is available on the web. I'll put a link to it in the chat. This is their new room designer. We're always talking about making things fun and cool for the customer. So designing a room, I used to use this program called CAD and everything. It was really not fun. Yeah. And once you put everything in, if it turns out that microphone you picked doesn't really have the pickup you thought it did and you can't hear from that spot. But this lets you, all right, you get your little room and you could change the size of it and you could put in different size speakers and I'm not going to play with it too much now, but you could put in the new Ceiling Pro in and it shows the circle that show where it covers and make sure all the seats are covered. And this must have been expensive for them to build this and give it to us for free to play with. This is very cool.
It is. And I don't know if we see it here, but when the conference systems aren't going to be effective, there's like a red light or a yellow or.
Yeah. If I make the room too big.
Yeah.
Or something, or if I use the wrong.
This is not going to work for you. You need more. Right?
Yeah, the green circle will turn. Oh, and the tips up here, there'll be a tip saying that something's not. Yeah, it'll say it's not optimal and recommend putting in more microphones.
And then my curiosity here, this is a question for them, but at some point, that ceiling one would be more effective, and so eventually they're cannibalizing sales of the desktop, I would think. Depending on the size.
Yeah, depending on your needs and whatnot, I guess.
Yeah. Which is okay.
Yeah, sure. If it's the right solution for the customer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so final thought, they wrapped up with Trevor. He was awesome. And it just, just to show that it was more than just sitting in briefings and learning about the new products and all the success. They really make this a celebration. And I appreciated it. It was great. Trevor was awesome.
Yeah. So, I had to leave. I'm a big Trevor Noah fan and I had to leave for the airport.
Oh, did you get to see the recording of it or?
No, not yet.
Okay. We'll have to make sure that happens.
Tell us about it. What did you like?
He was just so thoughtful, he wasn't going overboard trying to be funny. You think a comedian, but he was just very kind and thoughtful.
Yeah, he's really intelligent.
Yeah, he's very smart.
Same with Fareed Zakaria. That was such a great interview.
Fareed was also amazing.
Really amazing. Like just the discussions around AI and his thoughts where things are going and the risks of it and what happens if, and it's so because he knows so much about the globe, right?
Yeah, Yeah, he's so knowledgeable. And I wasn't, again, I wasn't, I should need to read Trevor's book because he was also it was a very similar discussion, high level thoughts about AI. It was really great.
I want to read it. I read the first one. Amazing.
Oh,
One of the best books I've read. And so I definitely want to read this one.
oh, I'll have to read them both now.
Yeah. So now we're pitching Trevor Noah.
He was so good. So any other final thoughts on the event?
The only other thought, I did have a thought. Hang on. I had a thought. Give me a second that I wanted to share. Oh, so why does Cisco, why does WebEx win? What I heard just talking to people, like customers and literally people in the elevator. Every time I was in an elevator, I was talking to people, but that the integration with the back end, that was important to a lot of people, and the trust. And so one of the why companies invest in solutions from one versus another company, trust and reliability and security were three huge reasons or factors in making a decision. And with WebEx and the new way they're looking at it, incorporating within Cisco, I think what Sonora said was they're on the shoulders of Cisco's security reliability solutions, and that helps a lot. So I think that's going to help them well going forward, just making that a top issue that they discuss with customers, that we've got security, we've got reliability, we've got a history of that.
That's the same thing, and I did. One thing that I loved about this was a lot of customer conversations, and that's the same kind of thing I was hearing. The reason they use Cisco is because it's Cisco, and they've been using Cisco for everything else, and it works for them. Their networks work. They use Cisco network. They've been using, whether it was we were on Jabber forever, and we loved that, or whatever it was. So when they came into UC, all they really had to do with WebEx was make it better than it was. The old WebEx everyone didn't like. They revamped WebEx. They had to make it better. And it turns out they made it a top tier. I think it's competitive with Zoom and Teams. I think there's 3 top tier solutions, and it's those 3. And they really didn't have to, because their customers who use it trust them. And the reason they're using WebEx isn't because, well, we did a bake-off with WebEx and Zoom and we like it. But they use it because we love Cisco, and we use Cisco for everything, and everything just works together, and it's good. And the only thing that bothers me is they made WebEx so good that I think people should just be using it because it's WebEx. I think it should be out there in the green fields competing against Zoom and Teams, and it's not. What we hear in new businesses is the choice is Teams or Zoom. Everyone's Teams or Zoom, Teams or Zoom, Teams or Zoom. The people who are using WebEx are Cisco customers who love it. And they're happy with it. They did such a good job of providing to their existing base. And I'm like, how do we get it outside the base? Because you kind of made it too good to be just for your base.
Totally. Trust in the Cisco logo was what I kept hearing. But I think the other thing they're doing well is it is about integration, right? And they're selling, at least with the contact center piece, they're selling it individually. So you don't have to get the whole contact center solution. You can buy it piece by piece, and that will help them, I think. And if all the other companies do that, that will help customers and their partners select the right solution for the right channel, let's say.
That makes sense. All right. Well, thank you so much. It was so great to have you here.
Thank you, David, for having me.
This is fun. And thanks everyone for watching. Please like and subscribe.